Hello and welcome! I'm trying out a new type of video and I'd love to hear your feedback on it. There are some new balance changes for the 13.7 public test, and I would like to discuss these changes with you guys. In the background there will be a match in the Wisconsin. I want to emphasize that these changes are preliminary, they're not guaranteed to go through, but are simply being tested. These are not final. The ships being changed this time are the I-56, the submarine, Hector, Buffalo, San Luis, Henri, Tromp, Alvaro de Bazan, Ruggero di Lauria, and Piemonte. They should all be marked on the timeline. The Japanese submarine I-56, her hydrophone consumable charges are being increased from 1 to 4. This is a good change. This is what a hydrophone does. It allows the submarine player to know the location of close enemy surface ships, like you can see on the screen. It updates their position on the minimap and shows a rough outline for the submarine player. I think it's a bit silly that a submarine would only have one use of the hydrophone, so improving it makes a lot of sense to me. The Commonwealth cruiser Hector, her heel, the repair party consumable, is being upgraded from a regular to a super heel. Right now her heel heals for 0.5% per tick and lasts for 28 seconds. She can heal a total of 4,816 HP at base. With the changes, her heal will tick for 2% per tick and last for 20 seconds. She will then be able to heal a total of 13,760 HP. That's almost triple. It's a substantial buff. Next, the American cruiser Buffalo is finally being changed to what she should always have been. Her main battery reload is being improved from 11 seconds to 10 seconds. Her gun range increases from 15.6 to 15.8 kilometers, and her rudder shift time will improve from 11.2 to 8.4 seconds. The reason I say that this is what she should always have been is because the preceding ship is the Tier 8 Baltimore. Baltimore has 15.8 kilometer range compared to the Buffalo's 15.6. She also has a 10-second reload compared to the Buffalo's 11, and her rudder shift is actually a little better than the 8.4 seconds even. Basically, with the way Buffalo is and has been for now, is that you get a substantial downgrade in maneuverability when you go from the Baltimore to the Buffalo, and you lose a bit of range, but in compensation you get an extra turret worth of guns. The problem is that for some reason, even there, you lose a second of reload. Sure, the Buffalo does have about 20% more HE damage per minute than the Baltimore, but that's about it. In other characteristics, they are basically the same, or the Baltimore is a little better. I actually prefer the Baltimore myself. Of course, the Buffalo is better by virtue of being a Tier 9 ship, meaning that she gets access to the reload or range upgrade, and she gets a heal. I think these changes are very good, and I hope they get implemented, because the Buffalo deserves a buff. The French cruiser San Luis is getting her HE shell damage increased from 2800 to 3000. That's about a 7% damage per minute buff, and her fire chance goes from 15% to 17% on top of that. Both buffs I think are good, because Tier 9 cruisers are usually in a bit of a sad state, so buffs on them I think are always kinda nice. The French cruiser Henri is finally getting her engine unnerfed. Right now Henri's engine is somehow weaker than other cruisers. Take a look at this chart. By the way, the chart is from World of Warships shipbuilder tool, link is in the description. This is what Henri's acceleration looks like. It takes her about 20 seconds to get to 20 knots. Now let's add the San Luis, the ship directly preceding the Henri. It takes her a little less than 17 seconds to accelerate to 20 knots. That's significantly faster than Henri. If we then add the Hindenburg onto the chart, we can observe the same thing. Hindenburg accelerates faster than Henri. Of course, Henri has a speed boost that improves her acceleration even further, but her base acceleration is what we're talking about, and it is worse. Let's swap out the Hindenburg for the Venezia. Look at how much better Venezia's acceleration is. She gets to 20 knots in less than 15.5 seconds. And of course, we gotta look at the Minotaur too. She takes 5.5 seconds to reach 20 knots. By 10 seconds, she's already at 31 knots. I think unnerfing the Henri makes sense these days. Sure, she can be annoying at long range, but so can other ships. In my opinion, Henri sits just too high in the water, and because of that, she's pretty easy for a battleship to just blow up. So I think I'll take buffs to the Henri. The Dutch destroyer Tromp is getting her HE airstrike range increased from 10 kilometers to 12 kilometers. I am surprised by this, because Tromp can be quite annoying to deal with because of the airstrikes. But if they do change this, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I love using airstrikes. And a 20% radius increase on basically the range that she can drop in is actually a 44% area increase. So it's gonna cover a lot more ships. And so the destroyer is gonna have a lot more choice on what to airstrike now. Which also means that she can now airstrike radar cruisers. The Spanish destroyer Alvaro de Bazan is getting a buff to her burst fire. Her shell maximum dispersion decreases by 10% during burst fire, and her torpedo detection is reduced from 1.1 kilometers to 1 kilometer. I haven't played the ship though, so I can't really say whether these changes are definitively good or not. But judging how her torpedoes are only 56 knots, I think a concealment improvement on them is a good change, especially when you get to these lower torpedo concealment ranges. They can end up being pretty effective even if their speed isn't great, at least when enemies are sailing towards them. Sea mines aren't going anywhere, and yet you can still sail into them if you don't notice them. Well, not in World of Warships, at least not right now, I think. The Italian battleship Ruggero di Lauria and the Italian supercruiser Piemonte are both getting their dual-purpose anti-air range increased from 4.6 kilometers to 5.2 kilometers. As a consequence, they are getting their anti-air damage reduced from 353 to 318 and 508 to 455 respectively. I think this is a good change. It looks like the anti-air is going to be about as effective as it is right now when the ship is being struck herself. But more anti-air range means that she can help her teammates out a lot better when aircraft are attacking those, because right now her maximum anti-air range is only 4.6 kilometers. That's just kinda not enough. So it being increased a little bit is, I think, a good change. Will it make any real difference? Probably not, but hey, at least the anti-air now is gonna exist a little more, especially against skip bombers, because skip bombers drop from so far away that this AA barely works against them. I definitely welcome this change. And that's it, that was the last change, but I want to emphasize again that these changes are preliminary. They could very well be completely different when they actually get released. But I like these changes, but I also like changes that aren't really nerfs because they change the way the game is played without making players really feel bad, right? A ship that you enjoyed, you can still enjoy it, it's just that you have more options now. Anyway, let's take a look at the game now. It's an arms race match and we've been doing pretty well. So far we've done 110,000 damage, we fought destroyers and stuff, and at this point I think the game is, well, as long as we don't throw, it should be ours. Because we have a lot better buffs than they do. 2 heal buffs to 0 of theirs means that, well, we're gonna be much better off in any kind of long time engagement. Also, we have more ships, and we actually have ships in the center cap, and they don't. And if you take the center cap, you pretty much win in a few minutes. And I mean, all their battleships are bunched up basically where they spawn. The Hawk is trying to go closer, but, well, I kind of feel bad for her. She is the tier 8 ship. It shouldn't be her leading the charge, it should be the Montana or the Republique or, I don't know, something else. Even the Adatara is a higher tier than the Hawk, but no, it's the Hawk that's actually pushing. And honestly, look at the map. They could actually do that on that side of the map. The only ships over there are destroyers. With the Essex spotting, they could take out the destroyers pretty handily, I think. But we'll see if that's actually gonna happen. Now, our ships, you know, while I say that the game is won, we could absolutely throw this, because the battleships only here are my Wisconsin and our Yamato. Otherwise, we have an Atago, 2 destroyers, and submarine, and an aircraft carrier. While I think we're pretty well off, I mean, Yamato could always just somehow get citadeled and die. And I only have half HP, so overextending here is potentially a losing proposition. But I have faith in my abilities, and at the ranges we're fighting at with these guys, I think it's gonna go in our favor. Oh, and by the way, even though we have pretty safe control of the entire cap zone, none of our ships are in the cap zone. It's the CV that is gonna start capping in a moment. The aircraft carrier. Not one of the 2 destroyers, not the submarine, not the cruiser or anything, no, it's the CV that's... Or maybe the CV will just sit outside of the cap zone. I guess maybe we're doing a no cap kill all or something? Well, I'll start with the Essex. But I think this kind of sealed the deal. Essex is a bit too important to lose like this. So I think now I don't think they have a chance of coming back. So I'm gonna focus down the Adatara, because if we can take out this battlecruiser in front of me, I can show my side to the map border and not worry about anybody shooting it. Because right now, if I just keep going forward and forward, eventually I'm gonna be in a position where I show too much broadside to the Republique. Well, at least if she keeps sailing towards the Holland. So Adatara is the thing I need to take care of to have my flank secured. Wow, 14k damage. Man, I love Wisconsin. You shoot your guns, you actually hit the target. What a revolutionary concept. Unlike the Adatara, who shoots her guns and doesn't hit the target. Instead, she just splashes every single shell right in front of my ship. Okay, I mean, I shot my guns, I hit the target, I just hit the torpedo protection belt, and the rest ricocheted. Okay, she's been on the border for a while though, so basically she isn't gonna change her position or even her angling, right? The way she is right now is basically how she is going to remain. Sadly though, this means she is gonna stay angled, so I have to start shooting a little higher, trying to hit the superstructure and stuff, and well, it came with success. Now it's just the Montana and the Republique, and the Montana is showing broadside. Well, no more Republique now, only the Montana. Oh, and somebody did actually decide to finally cap. Bit late for that though. I think the enemy team is not very happy with their Montana, but it's kind of understandable. She had a lot of HP and she fell back quite far. Ooh, high caliber. Very nice. Oh, and we have 3 heals now, so this is basically impossible for the Montana to... Well, it's impossible for the Montana to sink me. She might be able to sink like the Holland that's torping her right now from in front of her and shooting. Because honestly, if you were in that Holland's position, you should just fire. Just that there's no reason not to. Because there's just nothing the Montana can do to you. Especially since her guns are pointed in the complete opposite direction. Wait, what? She ate all those torps and didn't actually sink? Wow, Holland torps really hit like wet noodles, don't they? But, Montana, your days are over. And it's the Otago that gets it. Wow! Damn! That's a nice tier 8 cruiser that we had in our team. Because he didn't die, unlike many other ships in this match. 198,000 damage, we sank 2 ships, we shot down a bunch of planes, Confederate, a Dreadnought high caliber. So it was a lot of long-range battleship dueling. Holland, you did very well. And Otago, you did very well too. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support. and I hope I'll see you guys next time.